All right. Just gonna give it a couple of minutes. Let me just check this microphone level. Give me a second. Sorry. Da, da, da. Let's turn that down a bit. Um, give it a minute or so. Let a few people join. Yeah. Start the fun. Kick this off. Mm. Right. Let's do this. Right. Well, yeah, that's annoying, isn't it? There's no. No, let's start this. There's a mean to go on, so just turn it off. Look, if you're one of the kind of people that likes to have a pop at me at the moment for being negative or whatever because I say things that you don't like to hear, then just don't bother listening because it's not going to be fun. We've just lost a North London derby. I'm recording literally just as we've come off the pitch. So it kind of annoys me as a Spurs fan to see Tottenham lose to Arsenal. So if you don't like to hear kind of somebody being annoyed or disappointed about that, then don't bother listening. Yeah, really disappointing. Off the top, like another one of those games where I'm sure we'll be told that all of our possession is great. We're really making progress. But did we create many good chances again? Did we create many clear cut opportunities? We were told that Solanke being on the pitch is going to radically change things for Spurs. We created no opportunities for him either. I think he tried his best. I think he gave Saliba a pretty horrible first half. Was getting under his skin, but we didn't do much, did we? James Maddison fairly non-existent. Romero just awful, awful for their goal, and it's Arsenal winning again. The thing is, the lead up to this game has all been poor Arsenal. Look, they've got Declan Rice and whatever his name is missing, the Norwegian fella. What are they to do? What are they to do? So it's been amped up. The drama's been amped up. Oh, surprisingly enough, what they have to fill in is Thomas Partey and Jorginho, two international good players. Right, that's who they have to fill in for them. But Spurs, we just look blunt. We just look blunt. That's all I can say. Like we're not playing good football, and I'm just not buying it. I'm not sitting here for it. I'm not sitting here to be told that you don't have the bottle for it, or that you're not seeing that you're somehow lacking this kind of intellectual capacity to comprehend what it is that Ange Postecoglou is doing here. We simply don't look very good. And that might not all be on Ange. That might be on the caliber of some of the players that we have trying to play the football that he wants us to play. Fair enough. I'll concede that point. I can concede that point. And I'm not by any stretch of the imagination saying get rid of Ange Postecoglou. I'm not. I don't. I'm not at that place. I don't want to see us go through some other kind of whatever you want to call it merry-go-round of managerial appointments and all that type of thing. I'm not interested in all that. Want to stick with Ange Postecoglou. I want to see where this goes. I want to see him get a fair crack of the whip. But what I'm saying is, in my reflection to this, is that we're not improving. And I just don't buy this take that we're improving. And people will twist this. People will twist it. I made a joke about it on Twitter, but people will say, we conceded 3 goals to Arsenal last season. And this season, we only conceded 1. So that's actually progress. Come on. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. Like we were told that this season we're playing better football than we were at the start of last season. Give over, man. Give over. Like we were absolutely flying at the top end of last season. Absolutely flying. We were playing brilliant, silky, high intensity, high press, possession based football that actually looked like it had an end product as well. Right. And yes, I know there were some late goals in there. There was Sheffield United and all this type of thing, but we still got we still got these results over the line, right? That Chelsea game where it all started to fall to pieces. The first goal, the Son goal that was absolutely sublime. I've not seen us do anything close to that for a very long time. Um, so this idea that because we're controlling games, that we've got this great controlling game, we do nothing with it. We do absolutely nothing with it. We're so easy to contain. Leicester contained us. Like, they weren't bothered about us at all. Leicester are going to be one of the worst teams in the Premier League this season, with all due respect to them. And I know they won a Premier League over us a few years ago, blah, blah, blah. But you know what I'm talking about, right? This is, it's, I don't know. This is just, it's bizarre. I don't want to dig him out because I think it's kind of unfair. I think he's good when he comes off the bench, but I don't think we can play a system like this that's so reliant on the front three when you have somebody like Brennan Johnson who just feels too timid. He just feels. I really like Brennan Johnson coming off the pitch. I really think Brennan Johnson is actually a really good player, but I just think whatever it is, I think he plays within himself far too much, and I think he was doing that today. I think Sonny, who I love, who's one of the club's greatest ever players, who is our club captain, absolutely adore him. I said this a couple of seasons ago, maybe a season and a half or so ago, but he's entering the part of his career where you feel like we should have a legitimate kind of legacy plan in place, and Sonny maybe should even be an impact sub. The fact, and actually, do you know what? I actually thought Sonny was very good in the first half. I thought he was giving Ben White a horrible afternoon, but then wasn't. I cannot explain that second. I can't explain that second half to you. I don't know where the spirit went from that team. I don't know where the sort of belief went, because I thought we were all right in the first half. We didn't really create any opportunities, but I thought we were all right. I thought we looked better. I thought Arsenal looked rattled. I thought they looked like they were losing their asses a bit. Then the referee started stepping in, giving us loads of silly yellow cards. And it just felt like we lost our arse. Maybe we were playing within ourselves because we were worried about getting red cards, all that type of thing. But I don't know. I don't know. Callum THFC, 3 North London derby defeats in a row at home. Yep, I know that, mate. Matt and Oz says that was grim. Tom McCarthy, Ryan Mason by Christmas. I doubt it. We'll see. John Benfield, we've won 3 games out of 11 since April the 13th. Wow. Did the rot set in a while back? I'm not sure we have enough to turn it around, judging by the start of this season. Yeah. Gage Reynolds says, shit mentality, just no desire to win the game. Lupi says, that was pathetic from all of them today. Their indecisiveness really, let's have a look. Their indecisiveness, sorry, it's just done the thing where the comments refresh. Their indecisiveness really did my head in. Luis says, our forward line has at least 3 players who should be benched right now, but we've only got Werner and Odegaard as options. I like Odegaard. Timo Werner. Okay. Timo Werner. I was saying thank you, Charlotte. Got me a coffee. It's very nice, well, isn't it? Timo Werner. I said on X or Twitter that a team that's serious about progressing doesn't re-sign Timo Werner after he showed you how limited he was, that he wasn't at it anymore. I just Odegaard I quite like, and he's a kid. I think that's okay. Stephen King. Sadly, this game played out according to script. We huffed and puffed, but no real danger or quality in the final third. Then Arsenal defended well. They were always going to score from a counter-attack or a corner. Kind of felt that way, didn't it? Kind of felt that way. Beat Plate says, mate, you said it in the reaction against Newcastle. It's all looking very AVB currently, worrying times. Wasn't actually me. So I think it was actually Ali, who's zeros and ones, who's actually commenting here. I think it was him that said it was all looking a bit AVB, and I was just kind of worryingly sort of agreeing. But it does feel that way, because I mean, what I feel about this, and I think this is why at the moment there's such a kind of like I don't know, just a contrast in the way that people talk about this, because I think it's like to criticize this. People take that. People who want to sort of stick with Ange Postecoglou, people who want to say that he is the second coming, that this is all going to be good, they sort of take any sort of criticism of him as a suggestion that you don't think anything that he does is good. And that's not what I feel about it. I don't feel that way about what Ange is doing. Um, Much in the same way as it was with Villas-Boas, though, I'm kind of like, I don't think we're particularly bad, but I just don't think we're that good. And I was way more on board with Villas-Boas, probably because I was younger. I hadn't done as many of these cycles of Spurs managers and stuff like that. So I was more one of the, oh, if you don't like Villas-Boas, then you're just some miserable bastard. And now I've become the miserable bastard, it would seem, just because, again, I'm not asking to get rid of Ange Postecoglou. I'm not saying to get rid of him. I like Ange Postecoglou. I like what we're trying to do. I do want to say that again. The thing I'm disagreeing with is this narrative. Like I say, that if you look at this, if you watch this, and you don't think that we're brilliant, if you don't think, right, that all it's going to take is a couple of things to click into place, and then we're going to be flying. We're going to be out there like against Manchester City and all that, rivaling them at the top of the table. Then you're a moron and you don't have any bottle and all this type of crap that people are saying. I just don't buy that. I don't buy that. Um, I don't buy that we're that good at all. And I don't buy that we're improving. And I think, what can I say? Deuce's Wild says, or Deuce, or whatever. Brutal performance. Questions need to be asked of Vicario. Really? So I'm saying I don't know. I haven't noticed this. Toothless in attack and giving Werner minutes over Moore is a crime. 100% agree with that bit. Ben Austin, I don't think one of those players understood it was a derby. I don't know, maybe. PG says, just because certain stats have apparently improved, in no way is this progress. There you go. Listen to the man. That's it. Zeros and ones. Arteta got Mourinho'd and Conte'd. He learned from both and adapted his game to get the results he wants out of tight games. Yeah, maybe. Could be a shout. Darren, sack him now. I don't know, Darren. I'm not sure about that one yet. I'm not. Oh yeah, then Darren followed up and said joking. Quite like that. Juan Hodges, in our main London derbies, Arsenal, Chelsea, West Ham, Ange has won 0 of 7, and he's lost 5 of those. That's pretty damning. That's pretty damning. Sosbrev, but that is. John Benfield, as a coaching team, they are blinded by the data when they do the numbers. When do the numbers stop being a barometer for a successful team? I don't think we are as creative as the opposition want. Hang on. I don't think we are creative. We are as creative as the opposition want us to be. I get that. Yeah. Luis F is saying Vicario's not it. Looks like a good shot stopper, but that's about it. Looks too panicked all of the time. I'll keep an eye on that. I was starting to feel. Do you know what I was going to say? I was starting to feel this a bit more. A bit more. I'm not going to lie about Destiny a doggy, because I've been. A few people had said to me, Destiny a doggy is not it. In the past few games, and I was like, come on, Destiny's great, and I still think Destiny's great, and I think he's a very young player. But he was winding me up a bit today. He was winding me up a bit, and I saw there was him and Van der Ven had a little bit of a back and forth with one another at one point, because I think a doggy didn't chase after something. There was sort of like a loose tackler coming together with Van der Ven and I want to say Saka maybe, and the ball was kind of loose and the doggy just kind of let it roll off instead of running back to collect it. And I think Van der Ven was having a bit of a go at him about that. But I kind of feel like doggy's positioning and everything's a bit whiffy at the moment. I don't know. Juan Hodges says, we never looked like scoring. All they had to do was stay in second gear and wait for a corner. It's an accident waiting to happen. Phil Walker, 2024 has been a huge regression and just been found out. Yeah, maybe. Edward Prizlucky says, but the field tilt, Jack, the field tilt, with lots of exclamation marks. I mean, sorry, maybe I'm just too much of a cretin for all that malarkey. Um, Demenstre says, "Are we going to talk about how shit the captain has been so far? Or are we just going to go after Romero and Madison again?" By week, can I ask, mate, Demenstre, if you're still watching this, are you doing the passive aggressive thing where you're when you say we, you're talking about me? You're being like, "Are we going to be doing that? Are we?" You know, it's kind of thing like a sort of like passive aggressive, like, home counties British person says, "Ooh, having a little party, are we?" Or something. I don't know, to the teenage neighbours. Do you know what I mean? No. But am I going to be talking about how shit the captain has been? I did sort of say a couple of minutes ago, maybe you tuned in, but I did say I think Sonny's getting towards that bit where I don't know how effective he is really starting games, but as I did say in the first half, I do think he was giving Ben White a bit of a horrible time. But I mean, I don't know. Don't know. Kai says we really missed a chance in the window again to add proper options. Not having to bring on Werner in a game like this. Yeah. Nathaniel Hart Anderson. Hey Jack, disappointing game, but we should keep in mind Arsenal are better than we are. We lost to the better team. See, look, yeah, to a degree, Nathaniel, but at the same time, mate, I've seen far worse Tottenham teams put up more of a fight to far better Tottenham teams through my lifetime. It's 3 on the bounce now. We've lost to this lot. We have been far better than them in the not so distant past, and they've still managed to put up. We've beaten them like once at the Emirates. We beat them in that League Cup game and under Pochettino, and then we beat them under Harry Redknapp, wasn't it? So we don't turn up there at the Emirates and take the piss all the time. So this whole kind of they're just the better team stuff, it doesn't really work. It doesn't. I'm sorry, mate. I kind of get what you're saying, but at the same time, no, that sort of excuse only goes so far. And like I say, I've seen far, far, far worse Tottenham teams put up more of a fight against far better Arsenal teams. It's a derby. Like it's just it's different, mate. You can't. I'm sorry, they don't just get a pass for losing 3 on the bounce just because Arsenal are better than us at the moment. I'm sorry, it's not the gotcha that you think it is. I'm sorry, mate. It just isn't. Ryan Christensen and just attacking philosophy as marketing. It doesn't actually materialize on the pitch. I mean, I'll half call him out because I don't like doing this side eye stuff. I mean, Harry Brooks, who I've got no issue with. I know a lot of people like Harry Brooks seems to be Harry Brooks on Twitter. If anyone sees him, he's quite a Marmite figure. People either sort of love him and think he's kind of the Messiah, and other people love to like really dig him out and are quite mean to him. And I've got no reason to dislike him whatsoever, but he did say one thing that did kind of make me laugh a little bit not so long ago, which is like, if you can't see that Ange's system would work, if say we had as our front three Saka, Haaland, and Salah, then you just don't get football. And I was kind of like, well, mate, what? So if we had Haaland, Saka, and Salah, you're suggesting we'd be a better team than we are now? I mean, is that where we're at? Is that like where the defensive Ange is at? But but if I'm to be less churlish about it, because I think I think he was making like a fuller point than that, just illustrated it quite poorly. I'm guessing his point was more sometimes a good workman can blame bad tools, right? And I'm not saying Ange is doing that, but had we a few better players, had we a few better options for Ange, his type of football probably would be bearing fruit. And I kind of get that. The reason why that doesn't fully hold up for me is a truly exceptional coach surely would say, okay, well, this isn't quite working with these players. Let's try something a bit different. Um, and I think that's what Jurgen Klopp did to a degree. I mean, again, he's probably quite a poor example because they did spend a fair bit of money for him to eventually kind of get it off the. But I mean, Jurgen Klopp came to the UK, came to England with this trademark Gegenpress, right? That everybody used to talk about. rock and roll football, and all this type of thing. And they were great. They were great almost immediately. And they were knocking the ball about, having a great laugh, but still looked like they had a fairly soft underbelly. We slapped them about at Wembley. We were a much better team than Pochettino Spurs, absolutely unbelievable. Slapped them about at Wembley. I mean, it was really like a sign of us being like, we are so much better than this lot. And Klopp pretty much ripped it all up. I think he sacked his number two. I can't remember what his name is, but a guy he'd worked with for years, biffed off his number two, who he'd pretty much drawn up the blueprint for Gegenpress with, biffed him off, brought in somebody else, and they completely rewrote it. They completely changed the way they were going to approach the game, completely changed the way they're doing things. I don't see any of that from Ange. I don't see any sort of adaptability whatsoever. So as much as we can say, like, put Haaland and Salah and Saka in this team and we'd be better. Yeah, okay, right, sure. But the reality is we don't have that, and we're probably never going to have that under Enoch, are we? I mean, very few teams ever are, but you get the point. What I'm trying to make. We're not going to sign somebody like Nico Williams, who's going to instantly elevate us. We are going to take a punt on players like Brennan Johnson and hope that we can improve them, make them better through time and through coaching and through all these various things. But we just don't seem to be doing any of that. I don't know. Phil Walker says Werner might be one of the worst attacking players we've ever signed. James Foster says, is Ange's attacking football a bit of a myth? Players are aimless. What are we actually trying to do? So disappointing. 4x goal. Where are the Glee Club now? Still moaning about negative fans. As if we cheered a bit louder, Johnson and Werner would turn into well beaters. Lol. Yeah, maybe. Spurs lad. All we concede is either from individual mistakes or set pieces. Yeah, maybe. The Werner for Madison sub was a joke. Grant Echo Sonic. Far too sloppy, front to back. So many poor passes, fluffed control, extra touches. Need hustle, saw none. Liam Hennessy. Never really looked like scoring. Joe Batty. The trade-off with Romero, ball playing versus errors leading to goals, is simply not worth it. We attack poorly with a ball-playing defender, so what's the point in having one that can't defend? Spurs lad, I think we're overacting. All we need is to click in the final third, avoid individual mistakes, and improve our game once we concede early. I can't tell if you're being sarcastic or not there, Spurs lad. James Forster, 8 wins in 22. Idris, 7 losses in our last 11 games and only 3 wins. It's relegation form. Yeah, I don't know. Dominic Manto, what does it take for us to question if Ange has to go? Brentford at home and United and Brighton away as our next 3 league games. I can't see any more than 4 points. I mean, what does it take to question if Ange has to go? Look, I think everybody probably has their own barometer, don't they? For me, unless it's going awful, I mean, I'm talking like unless we're getting sucked into a literal relegation fight, then I don't really want to see him go anywhere. And you get the sense of this stuff. Like you get the sense where you feel like you're losing game after game, you're getting thumped 3-0, 2-0, all this type of thing, and you're spiraling and you look like you're not going to win anything. That's when a manager goes, for me, when it seems like they have, as the proverbial, they've lost the dressing room type thing. At the moment, no, not for me. Ange doesn't. We're nowhere near getting rid of Ange yet. Like we have to stick with him. You have to. We cannot continue to be this basket case club that goes through manager after manager after manager after manager. That's just simply it. Like for me, that's just simply it. We have to give him. If even if we look like we're going to finish 8th, 9th, whatever this season, you stick with him. You just have to stick with him and just see what comes from that, because like, as people are quick to always point out, there was a point in time when Arteta looked like he couldn't buy a win at Arsenal, and then he's turned that around and suddenly they look all right. And it's not to say that we're going to end up in the same place as they are, but I just don't think we can keep going through a cycle of firing managers all the time. At the sort of the first bits of adversity. I think he is Like, because I think, okay, I think what the problem is at the moment is, for me anyway, you have several camps of people, but I think you have a very vocal camp of people who really want to stick with Ange, who won't at all concede that there are any issues with what we're trying to do, really, that it's all positive and slight. I'm going to be honest, it's pretty toxic positivity as well for the large part. Sort of kind of, go in for anybody that is anything less than complimentary towards this, right? And so I think it leads a lot of other people to double down, and people get their sort of, their backs sort of out of joint and all this type of thing. But I think if we can acknowledge that we are going for a bad spell, that we don't have to just be gaslit and told that, yeah, we are improving. Yeah, we are. We're a better team this season than we were last season, when we were absolutely barnstorming our way through the first quarter of the season and playing some of the best football we've played in years. Yeah, yeah, we're better than that team. Oh, come on, again, please. But if we can just accept the fact that, yeah, we are in a bad moment, if you like, that the team aren't playing that well at this point in time, then I think it makes it more palatable to say, well, let's give him a bit of time to climb out of this, as opposed to just, like I say, having it rammed down our throats, being told, this is good. This is good. And if you don't think this is good, you're thick, right? Or you don't have the minerals, or all this type of stuff, because it's just nonsense. It's not true. We aren't playing that well. We don't look that good. And we're clearly not that good. Like, our form isn't that good. Um, I'm not buying it, but I think he deserves time to get us out of that, right? And that's it. I'm far from Ange out. I'm not there. Um, Zeros and ones. Vicaria's getting Ramsdale if Ange is here for the long term. I don't know. Do you think he is? Are Spurs going to give him more money for a goalkeeper? Who knows? Um, Forex Gold, love him or loathe him. Arteta has the ruthless mentality to be a top mate. Come on. I'm not, why are you here? I'm not here to fucking. Arteta's a nasty little rat of a man. Like, don't give me your, like, Arteta's a good, like, whatever. I'm not interested in it at the moment, all right? Um, Hanek Katecha says, I'm not Ange out, but is another rebuild worse than this? Yeah, I mean, it could be, mate. So let's just have a look. Hubu says, you say it's a derby, Jack, but make one tackle and you're booked. So how are you supposed to get into them? Well, yeah, fair. RS9 Koi says, at this point, I don't think Ange is the guy, but I also don't have the stomach for starting over again so soon. Let him limp through the year unless it gets any worse. Yeah, pretty much what I do. I'm not going either way on whether I think he is or isn't the guy, if you like. But in no way keen to start again, and I just want to see what happens, right? Van der Ven, Jack Jagielski says, Van der Ven was the best player on the pitch. His passing wasn't crisp, but without him, this could have been way worse. I don't know. Kulusevski was our best player for me, and I'll talk about him when I do the players in the second half. But Van der Ven was great. Benedict Fox says, I'm actually sure that crowding Salah, Haaland, and Saka around the box would make them less effective than they would be otherwise. Edward Prislaki says, Ange won't even utilize a set piece coach, so there's no way he's altering his style as Klopp did. Yeah, I agree. John says, we haven't scored in 2 games. That's woeful. Yep. Oprah Rules says there isn't going to be a relegation battle. Arsenal are actually good. Have to be objective and acknowledge it. They've not lost away since December 2023. Well, look, okay, so you can't predict the future, so you don't know there's going to be a relegation battle, lol. But I wasn't saying there was going to be, was I? Again, twisting kind of what I'm saying. My point is that I wouldn't be Ange out unless that type of thing was happening, which I think is a fair thing to say. Yes, Arsenal are good, but again, I make the point that many better Arsenal teams many worse Tottenham teams have done better against many better Arsenal teams than this, and it's 3 in a row now. So just this idea that they are good, they are better, doesn't fully tell the story. Just doesn't. Which just says best centre back pairing in the Premier League. What for Arsenal? Arsenal maybe, not for us. Grant Ecosonic just would have liked a little quality this afternoon. Really bad day at the office. Yep. Um, Joseph Moriarty. Arsenal didn't have their best team out from Arsenal supporter. No, you didn't. But you know that that is what happens in football. Sometimes you don't have your very very best team available. But what you did do was replace two of your really good players with two other really good players. So you know whatever. Well done. Brian Park, thanks for the stream, Jack. I reckon you'd have done a better job defending the corner than Cootie did. I mean, you couldn't do much worse, could you? But yeah, so I mean, look, again, very annoying result. I'm looking forward to being told, probably in the comments, by this one consistent person that likes to write me essays about how terrible I am and how pointless my existence is. That this is just the worst podcast ever. So I can't even remember his name, but let's talk about the players. Let's do that. Arsenal, Tottenham. So, players. Vicario, I didn't really notice anything, but lots of people today in the comments have been particularly unhappy with Vicario. So, maybe there's something to take from that. I thought he did okay. I thought he made a few decent saves. I think it'd probably be harsh to expect him to do much more from the goal. I don't know. I'm not kind of seeing this urgent need to replace Vicario that I kind of get the sense that a few people are. But I'll keep an eye on it. I'll see what I think. Destiny a doggy. Not very good today. I hadn't really noticed it or other points in this season, but many people had told me leading up to this game that a doggy has not been at it this season, and I paid extra attention to it today, and I'd probably agree based on this evidence that he doesn't seem like he's kind of where he was, as exciting and as almost flawless as he seemed to be when we first brought him into the team. Maybe he needs some proper competition, perhaps. We maybe should have learned from that over the past few years that players do need a bit of competition. They do need somebody breathing down their neck to keep them sharp, to keep them engaged. Because right now he doesn't have that, does he? And it is somewhat a dereliction of duty from the people that run the club, who make the team, who make the squad, who put it together, to again not add further depth to an area of the pitch that is so pivotal to the way this manager plays. I don't think you can say fairer than that, can I? Mickey van der Ven, I thought a really good performance today. I thought his yellow card was a bit of a nonsense, but he, considering it's a derby, he played absolutely brilliantly after that point, was composed, was cool, was together, absolutely marshals that back line when we play the high line, because he is an absolute horse of a man. I think he's a magnificent player, isn't he? So what more can we say? Christian Romero, he's turning into one of those defenders who's kind of great until he's not, and the he's not moments seem to be coming ever more frequently. Has his head been turned? Is he suddenly, is he 1 foot out the door? There's a lot of talk about won't he sign a new contract? I've said it before, and I'm kind of saying it again. If we got offered a sizable lump from Real Madrid for him, eh. Pedro Porro, I thought he was really good today, actually. I think defensively he can be quite suspect at times. He gets caught out, but he it's part of his game, isn't he? Commits himself high up the pitch. And so there's always going to be space in behind him. Kind of is supposed to be, what Romero is marshalling and everything, but I'm not going to keep going on about Romero. Yeah, I think Porro's a good player. I think he's a great player. James Maddison. It's the sort of games, games like today, you want James Maddison to show up, and I would like him to do well. And this is something that people pick up on. People don't seem to like me being less than effusive in my praise to James Maddison. but I just don't think he's really that good. Uh, I don't think he does enough consistently. I don't think he makes enough of an impression on games at all. And I'm not just talking about this game. I'm not just talking about the North London derby. I'm talking about pretty much any game he plays now. He is starting to feel like one of those kind of quintessential noughties luxury players, if you like, where basically sort of the luxury player thing, right? Is you keep somebody floating about long enough that knowing that at some point in the game they might pop up with a decent kind of assist or something like that. But you go into this fully well knowing that they're probably not going to be at the same tempo as everybody else on the pitch. Some people used to call Van der Vaart a bit of a luxury player, and I don't. I sort of see it because he would be out of puff by about the 60th minute, wouldn't he? But I think it's probably harsh. James Maddison, you can see every now and again a glimpse of him being good. You can see a glimpse of him being able to, play a decent ball through, but there's just no tenacity there. There's a few misplaced passes today. I think he slowed our breakaways down quite a bit. I'm just not seeing that kind of instinctive snapshot type action that I expect from somebody like James Maddison. I feel like we kind of saw in glimpses at clubs like Leicester, the bits we saw of Leicester. Um, I just, I'm just not having him. I'm not. Um, Rodrigo Bentancur, I thought he was okay today, wasn't he? Kept things ticking, but wasn't ever particularly brilliant. I think we would have had Basuma playing where he fit instead of Bentancur. We're probably gonna have to get used to life without Bentancur. He's going to be out, with a suspension for a long time. And fair play, he's got it coming to him if he does. I'm not going to sit here and piss and moan about one of our players getting, banned for racism, because let's just think about the things that we say about other clubs and other supporters before we start bleating on about our own racist players getting the punishment for that. Um, but yeah, fine on-field performance today. Okay, didn't ever really pull up any trees, did he? Dejan Kulusevski, build the team around this man. Build. I don't understand how there is such a split kind of narrative on Dejan Kulusevski. How he's always seen as the guy that if we get a good offer for him, maybe we should. What? Like he's still so young. He's absolutely like one of the hardest workers on the pitch every time he's on the pitch for us. He's tenacious, he's strong. Like defensively, offensively, he causes problems. His ball retention is unbelievable. Somebody said today on Twitter that Kulusevski today is looking like the ginger Dembele. And he really was. It was such a perfect way of looking at it. The way he holds onto the ball is unbelievable. The way he manages to spot runners every single time, thread balls through. I think he is one of our best, if honestly, not consistently our best player. And I don't see how you can see otherwise. Like shock horror, Jack. People don't agree with each other. I know. You get what I'm saying. I'm verging into the realms of hyperbole here. But Dejan Kulusevski is a magnificent player. Build the team around him. Start him in the center of the pitch every single time. First name on the team sheet. Build the team around Kulusevski. Build it around him. He's brilliant. He's got it all. He's literally got it all. And his shot, he nearly equalised towards the end with that absolute rasping shot as well. Build the team around him. Put him in the centre of the park and build the team around him because he is one of our best players. Like I say, and I say it again and again and again. I don't understand. I don't understand how you could want to sell him to Napoli for 20 something million. Ridiculous. Stupid talk. Stupid. One of our best players. Son Heung-min. Like I say, very, very good first half. I thought he was giving Ben White a horrible afternoon. Faded quite a bit in the second half. Faded as our control over the match faded. Didn't really get the ball into their final third enough, did we? Thus, he didn't really have the chance to shine. But Sonny's getting on. He's a wonderful player. He's a club captain. He's one of my favourite players of all time. He's one of Tottenham's greatest ever players. But that doesn't mean that it's going to go on forever, does it? And I think we've been, you know, getting towards end stage for a couple of seasons now, right? And there's still no real legacy plan in sight. I mean, maybe Mikey Moore, maybe that's what it is, but you know, who knows? That remains to be seen. Brennan Johnson, I'll be honest, I thought he was awful today. I thought he was awful. I think he can be a very good player. I think that people are quite harsh on him, but I do think today he was terrible. And that again to me is a nod to the fact that sometimes I think he's a bit too timid. That he's come into this team and that he just doesn't have that type of attitude to make that step up and to really kind of impose himself at this level. Because it is all well and good coming on in the 70th minute and kind of dropping in an assist. That's fantastic. But if you really, I'm talking about if you really want to step up and show, well, I think he has the quality. I think he has the ability. I really do. He has many of the attributes to be a fine player, I think. But I just don't know if he believes that he does. There's almost like a bit of the Ryan Sessegnons about it. Ryan Sessegnon, I feel, was always very, very similar. I think Ryan Sessegnon had like loads of ability. He obviously had loads of ability. Anybody that can remember Ryan Sessegnon from his early days at Fulham, you could see he was absolutely phenomenal, phenomenal young player. And he came and I think he started off all right at Spurs, and then things didn't go fully his way. And he just never got over that. He just always seemed to be playing within himself. Um, and I just really hope it doesn't go that way with Brennan Johnson as well, because I think there's a really good player there. But, I'm a bit worried. Dominic Solanke, home debut, North London derby. I think it was his birthday today as well. He had that one opportunity that fall to him when he had acres of space, and he just kind of dallied on it. He dallied on it. And he, do you know what I'll tell you exactly what I said to Phil on WhatsApp at that point as well. I just said that reminded me of Soldado. Like immediately, like that point there, Sanka getting the ball, acres of space, and just suddenly thinking, what do I do? Like, what do I do here? Instead of just cracking it at the goal, having a go at it, it was a little bit of an amber flag for me, if you like. But I do think he got in Saliba's face well in the first half. Anyway, he was winding Saliba up a lot, and he was winning everything in the air against him. And I don't think that's an easy thing to do. William Saliba's, I hate to say it, one of the best defenders on the face of the planet at the moment. And Dominic Solanke just, you know, just gave him a horrible time. But we didn't give the fella any opportunities to really do anything. And that sort of comes back to, what I was saying at the very top, doesn't it? That, when you don't when you don't give players the opportunity to score, when you don't actually create many opportunities, it can look good in this sort of statistical way that, we had all this possession and we're controlling games. But the reality is, are we? Are we actually? Because if you're not actually looking like you're ever going to score, what's the point of controlling these games? Timo Werner. Just what's the point, really? What's the point? Like, genuinely, what's the point? Seems like a nice bloke. We gave him an opportunity in the sort of, in the first instance of signing him last season. I thought it made sense. I got it. I was like, maybe this can be sort of a phoenix moment for him. That he can reclaim a bit of his form, a bit of his confidence, a bit of his belief. And he didn't. And he just petered out and turned back into sort of the Timo Werner that we remembered at Chelsea. And he went back to who is it? I can't remember where he's at now. It's not Leipzig, is it? Or maybe it is Leipzig. Went back there, and I think we all kind of soft hoped that was it. The Timo Werner experiment was done, and then we brought him back again. And it's massively underwhelming. It's massively underwhelming. Considering we keep talking about progress, considering we have a manager that, apparently win stuff in his second season. That we've got Timo Werner back, who just doesn't look good enough, right? I think that's the only way I can put it. Just isn't good enough. We also know about the young players. First, I've seen a few criticisms of him. I think he was fine. I think he was good when he came on. I think he actually started to bother Arsenal a bit. Would have been nice to have seen him have a bit longer because I feel like he was starting to cause them problems. He was starting to stretch them. I like him. I think he's got, I would say up front, I think he's got a bit more in the sense of like his directness, his tenacity, and everything. He's got a bit more about him than Johnson does. So there's that. Pape Matasar, I thought was fine when he came on. It was a fine performance. And it's always a bit of a shame for me anyway when he doesn't start. I think because I think he's a special player. I don't know. I don't really know what more I can say. Let's have a look. I don't know if has Postecoglou said this. For some reason, people keep thinking I don't care about set pieces. It's a narrative, and it's a narrative that will go in. We work on them as much as anyone. It's my burden to carry. I don't know if he said that or not, but quite interesting. Just Gems says, I don't buy Neville's narrative on Vicario. He has flaws for sure, but he's not a flappy mess. Yeah, I agree with you, mate. I think that's it. Moody Spur, I'd sell Killer in a heartbeat. He's a busy fool. No, I'm not having that, mate. Not having that. Grant Echo Sonic, really good point about the similarity between Sessegnon and Johnson. Oh, thank you. Mr. Gamer says, we need a new manager because I am furious. And he's got lots of the angry red face with the censored swearing over the mouth emoji, and then a string of the just red face cross emojis. Zeros and ones. Arsenal brought on their 17-year-old prospect whilst Mikey Moore is at home playing FIFA. There you go. Matty C says, it's a bit early to be going after Solanke. He played 2 football matches for Spurs. I'm not going after Solanke. I'm like, how have you drawn that from that? I'm not going after him at all. Not in the slightest. I was talking about how good a performance he's had. What are you going on about? People just hear what they want to hear half the time, don't they? Andrews apparently said, it's been the tale of our season so far. We've been pretty good in all games in terms of dominating position. Right, mate. So Matty C said, you just compared him to Soldado. Mate, I said this off the cuff to my mate on WhatsApp. I was like, do you know what I mean? What, you don't ever have the demon brain creep in every now and again? You just say, and I was saying it in all a sense of like, it's a bit reminiscent of Soldado, that was. It's not going after Solanke. Come on, cut the drama a bit, mate. Like, you're looking for it there. A lot of people, it's funny, a lot of people are saying on Twitter that Kulusevski's shit, which, there you go. I don't agree with that at all. I think that's really silly. But some people are saying that on here as well, aren't they? I don't know. What more is there to say? What more is there to say on this? Probably not a lot. Disappointing day at the office, isn't it? I thought we were going to win today. I sort of had a feeling that we were, and we didn't. Lost the North London derby, and that's kind of it, isn't it? But I hope you took something from this, and enjoyed it. If you are listening, please leave a rating and a review. If you're watching, please drop a like. Please share it, put on the notifications and all that. And got a Patreon as well, patreon.com/RTRpod. You can get a free trial, listen to all the stuff on there now if you want to. But yeah, annoying. Let's just try and enjoy the rest of our Sunday evenings before we all go to work tomorrow. Yay!